Hi, and welcome to the Early Retirement Roadmap podcast, the show where I help you prepare for and design the life you love after work. I'm Mike Upland, an early retiree at age 55. Now, you've worked hard, you've saved up all your life, and now retirement is finally here. You're looking forward to lots of time to relax, simply enjoy life, and just make the most of the years you have ahead. But what if I told you there's one simple mistake that could put your entire retirement at risk? And this is something that catches people off guard all the time. Now, you've retired with a solid million in savings and you've planned how much you're going to withdraw per year. And everything's going great until the stock market takes a nosedive in your very first year. Suddenly that million turns into 700,000 and now you're just simply withdrawing from an ever shrinking pot of money. Even if the market eventually bounces back, now you're worried your portfolio might never fully recover. And the worst part of it is you might not even realize it's happening until it's too late. Now you could follow all the traditional retirement advice, save a ton of money, diversify, withdraw responsibly, but still run out of cash far earlier than expected. And that's why I want to talk to you about something most financial planners and retirement calculators just don't emphasize enough. It's sequence of returns risk. But before we get into it, let me be clear that what I'm sharing today is based on my own personal experience and research. I'm excited to share these insights with you, but this is for educational purposes only. Keep in mind everyone's situation is unique, so always be sure to consult with your qualified financial and tax professionals when you're making retirement decisions. So back to our topic of sequence of returns risk. And honestly, this has been on my mind a lot, especially with what's happening in the markets right now. Here in March of 2025, we're seeing a lot of uncertainty. With the new tariffs on Canada, Mexico, and China, it's really shaking up the economy and consumer confidence is falling and that pesky inflation is creeping back up again. If you're nearing retirement or have already retired, this is the kind of volatility that can completely derail your financial plan. And I know for me, it's certainly stomach churning to see your nest egg lose value. But that's exactly why understanding when you withdraw money from your investments is really just as important as how much you withdraw. But I don't want to leave you with just bad news. What I want to do in this podcast is walk you through exactly how to avoid this mistake so that your retirement savings can hopefully last as long as you do. So let's dive in. Most people focus on hitting their magic number, whether that's $1 million, 2 million, or more. And the idea is that once you hit that number, you're set for life. But the thing is, it's not just about how much you have, it's about when and how you take it out. If the market is booming in your first few years of retirement, you might be fine. But if you start withdrawing money when the market's down, you could find yourself in trouble, even if you saved a lot. It's sort of like hiking up a mountain. You get up to the top and you focused on that and the view is great, but you don't realize coming down there can be some pitfalls and accidents can happen. Retirement can be the same way. Managing your money after you retire is really just as important as building it up in the first place. If you really think about it, how many times have you heard stories of people retiring only to find out a few years later that they're struggling? Maybe they thought they had more than enough, but they didn't realize that timing plays a massive role in how long their money will last. And that's simply what's scary about today's stock market volatility. Some people might be retiring right now thinking they have plenty, but if they start withdrawing just as inflation pushes prices up and markets fall further, their nest egg might not last as long as they had planned. So, this is all called sequence of returns risk. Now, even though the stock market trends upward over time, and that's the whole reason why we invest in it, the order in which you experience gains and losses matters much more than you think, especially in the early years of retirement. And it's simply because if you start withdrawing money during a downturn, you're selling assets at lower prices. This means you have less money left to grow when the market does recover. And if this happens in the first 5 years of retirement, it can seriously shorten how long your savings last. And right now, with the economy in flux, it's not just a theoretical risk, it's happening today. With interest rates fluctuating, rising inflation, and economic uncertainty, the market could see significant swings in the coming years. And we're hearing that in the news recently. If you're withdrawing from your investments while they're taking a hit, you could find yourself in trouble. And here's a really good example. Think about the last big crash in 2008. If you retired in 2008 with $1 million, that market crash would have cut your savings to around 600,000 just within months. If you were withdrawing 4% per year, which is a common figure with the fire movement, you'd now be taking a much larger percentage from what's left, draining your savings even faster. And let's say the market today does something similar, which is very possible given the uncertainty we're seeing. Would you be prepared to weather a downturn in your first few years of retirement? And that's exactly why we need to talk about solutions. So, here are 5 strategies to help avoid this risk. The first is one of the best ways to protect yourself from sequence of returns risk is to simply have a cash buffer. You need to have money set aside in cash or conservative assets to cover your living expenses during market downturns. And now you may have heard a common rule of thumb is to keep 1 to 3 years worth of expenses in liquid accounts. However, that may not always be enough. And it's because bear markets can last 1 to 2 years and full recoveries can take 3 to 5 years or longer. So if you're withdrawing from investments while they're down, you risk locking in losses and running out of money faster. So a more conservative strategy is to keep 3 to 5 years worth of cash, such as in high yield savings accounts or other safe and liquid assets. This gives your portfolio time to recover before you need to start selling investments. And your exact buffer size will just depend on your risk tolerance, your spending needs, and other income sources like rental income you might be getting, or if you've started collecting Social Security. This is critical during uncertain times like today. Again, with inflation creeping up and market shaky, having cash set aside means you don't have to sell stocks at a loss when things take a turn for the worse. Second is be flexible with your withdrawal strategy. Adjust spending and your withdrawals based upon market conditions. Don't just blindly withdraw 4% of the market. Instead, think about cutting back to 3% or just pausing major expenses, and that could make all the difference in helping to keep your portfolio intact. Third, follow a bucket strategy, and you've probably heard of this. All that means is separating funds into short term, midterm, and long term investments. This will help to ensure that you're not relying too much on stocks when markets are more volatile. You want to have a balance of short term cash, medium term investments, and then long term growth assets to smooth out your retirement income. And then fourth, delay Social Security if possible. With inflation concerns, locking in a higher Social Security check later on could help cover rising living costs in the future without putting more pressure on your investments. Fifth, simply consider part time work or side income to reduce your withdrawals during downturns. Just given the uncertainty in today's market, even having a small amount of extra income could be a lifesaver in helping to keep your investments intact during rough patches. So now you know, it's not just about how much you save, but how and when you withdraw it. And with everything going on right now in 2025, with the tariffs, inflation, market swings, this is something you have to take very seriously. If you're thinking about retiring, or even if you've already retired, this is the time to review your strategy. That's all for today's episode of Early Retirement Roadmap. If you found this information helpful, please leave a review and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget, Early Retirement Roadmap is also available on YouTube. Until next time, this is Mike Upland from Early Retirement Roadmap, helping you navigate the path to financial freedom. Take care and make the most of today.